Yeah, we're back.
Yeah.
There's finally a new movie.
We should have. There's been a couple movies. Actually. We should probably do like a review on Toxic Avenger. I feel.
We'll cross that bridge when we watch 3 and 4.
Yeah, the whole series.
I don't want to watch that.
There is.
I don't want to watch that.
We've already went down the dirty slope. We might as well just keep going.
2 is pretty bad.
I forget 3. The girlfriend gets her eyesight back, right?
Don't spoil it. Yo.
It's Toxic Avenger. If you haven't seen it by now,
I've only seen the first one.
In one of them.
Like on a reel.
Like she can see.
It doesn't
She
get
ends up being able to see.
doesn't get any better.
Yeah.
She just out of curiosity before we start, like, the girl from Toxic Avenger, his girlfriend, does he like fuck her so hard that she can see again?
No.
Because I feel like that'd be like Trauma's thing.
She gets a surgery or some shit like that.
Oh my gosh! So it's out of the blue random.
Yeah.
They pull an Iron Man 3 where
it's
it's
jump the
like,
shark.
and I got the shrapnel taken out of my heart too.
I like where your mind's at. You fucked her so hard.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what
that she saw.
That's
I
where
mean, she was
we're
born
going.
not
But that's what a trauma movie would be. It's
That's where we're
like,
going. I was like, that's not too far out of the road.
yeah. All right, but today we saw Bill and Ted Fight the Music? Face the Music. Face the Music. The third entry.
After how many years? The last one?
Well,
24.
91 is, yeah,
24.
1991 was Bogus Journey, so,
24.
yeah.
God. 24 years.
Did any of you guys see it in theaters?
The original. I've never saw the originals.
No, I never saw the originals in theater.
They came out when I was
When I was
like
a kid.
10, so I didn't actually see it till very late.
I saw
90s.
I saw Bogus Journey first on TV. I think it was like TNT.
I think I saw it. I don't know if I saw it on TV or on a VHS.
I saw it on TV, but then I saw the original Excellent Adventure on VHS.
I think I saw it on VHS because I remember watching it multiple times. So it was
Yeah.
either on DVD or VHS.
I saw Excellent Adventure years ago, but I vaguely remembered it because I was like, I think it came on like Sci-Fi or something. It
Yeah.
came on a weird network, and I was like, all right, cool.
With commercials?
Yeah, and then I rewatched it again recently to prep up for this one. I love the mess out of Excellent Adventure. It's really good.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Actually, Adventure was fun, but my favorite is still Bogus.
Yeah, and I don't...
Bogus still has good parts, but there is also parts that are just walled. I feel like.
I remember more scenes from Bogus than I do from Excellent. And I remember loving...
Because Bogus has more of a grand scheme.
I love the death where they just keep beating death.
Oh, at the game.
And he's like, best out of 3. And then he's like, best
That's-
out of 10.
That I think that's honestly the funniest in both movies. Like, it's just because you're facing death, it's like you can challenge me at any game in history.
Yeah.
First game, Battleship.
But it was also one of those things where it's going to go into what we watched just right now with the new movie. Is that it was the first time where Bill and Ted actually meets Bill and Ted. Like,
This isn't the-
themselves.
No, they did it.
They did it in the first one.
Well, like, it's more of like an evil sense. Like when they come back,
Oh,
they're
when they
just
meet
like,
the
"We're gonna
robots?
totally kill you."
Yeah.
And
Oh.
it's just like it's so much better. And even the scene where they like tear off their face for a second and being like, or no, they lift up their shirts.
Yeah.
And it's just like they got a 6-pack, but then they open it
And it's like
just
robot
all of,
gear.
Like robot. It's like we're totally robots. So I was like, it makes sense.
I don't know. I think...
like it.
All right, so I'll get into the plot real quick for anybody who, like, wants to know. So, third entry, Bill, this is, I think, because they're teenagers. Their daughters are teenagers, right?
No, their daughters are
Like full-on 20
full
something?
adults. They're 20.
Okay.
I think
Yeah, they said they're 24.
Yeah, because if you remember,
Okay.
in Bogus Journey, they were infants.
Yeah, they were.
So
Okay.
they're 24.
So they're in their early 20s, and pretty much Bill and Ted's life didn't go as planned. Everything fell through
They
from
did
Bogus
release
Journey.
music, though.
They
They
did.
did.
It was just bad
But
music.
they only had one hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and pretty much they're trying to fix things because they have this
This mantle.
destiny where it's like,
responsibility.
we have to write this song at some point or things are going to fall to shit. I'll say this. I think the premise setup was good. I just think the way it was executed was really kind of dull.
Yeah, the dialogue did not get good until like
Midway.
midway, like the end of the second act, beginning of the third act. That's when the dialogue like really ramped up, but it unfortunately wasn't the dialogue between Keanu Reeves and
Nah, there was
what's
like.
his name?
Alex Winter.
I
Alex
felt
Winter,
like
yeah.
I don't want to say no chemistry, but I felt like it was very.
What?
It was very stiff.
It was stiff. It was stiff between Keanu Reeves
Like
and
there,
Alex Winter.
I don't know if it's just because like
Oh.
it doesn't translate well, like in the New Millennium, like their dialogue.
Yeah,
Like because it literally feels like it hasn't changed since they were younger.
yeah.
When it should have, you know what I mean? Like there should have been. They could still say dude. They could still, but it should have been like different.
Bucky,
Yeah.
you're. I was gonna say you're
No,
eye
it's-
rolling over
it's-
there.
I would agree with the dialogue. The dialogue is different because Keanu Reeves is now a much bigger star.
That's-
true, yeah.
Let's
That's
think
also
about
true.
this.
Well-
Alex Winter hasn't done anything.
But that's
since
what I was
Lost
gonna
Boys.
say.
Lost Boys.
Well, but no, but that's what I was gonna say
I
though.
forgot he
Like,
was in Lost
Yeah,
Boys.
he's in
Holy
Lost Boys.
shit.
yeah, like Alex Winter, to me at least, it seemed like he was trying more. Like he was more believable as like. I was watching Keanu Reeves. He just looked like
He was
what?
dialed in.
And yeah, like he didn't seem like he was fully there. Not like like drug wise or anything, but just he didn't seem like he was
Which is
as
weird, 'cause
committed.
I felt like this is what he wanted. This was something like no one
This is
forced
something
him
that
to
they
do
both
that.
wanted.
Yeah,
right?
they
Something they both wanted.
They both wanted it, but they both had to also agree. And for the longest time, Alex Winter was trying to get something, and Keanu was like, no. And keep in mind, like, yes, of the two, Keanu's definitely,
the bigger.
yeah.
He probably more than likely paid for the whole thing.
I mean, yeah, but
Keanu paid for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
probably
Al,
more than likely.
if you look at his Alex Winter behind the camera, though,
He
is
was
solid.
good. He's solid.
And I think, honestly, of the two of them, he looked the best. He looked like the most like, well, that actually is, like, they're both Bill and Ted, but, like, he looked like, wow, like, that's actually Bill. Like, I don't
was
know,
gonna say,
like,
it looked like Keanu Reeves
So
playing.
you were like
Ted.
thinking like this is. So what you're saying is it's not Bill and Ted. It's Bill and John Wick.
pretty much. Yeah, well, you look at the John Wick movies, and I'm like, whoa, like, Keanu Reeves is, like, he's actually in shape. He looks healthy. Like, in this one, he just looked like he's not trying. I'm like, man.
See, I feel because even in the old ones, Ted's character wasn't that great to begin with. Like dialogue-wise, he wasn't also
Bill-
a
yeah,
talker.
Bill-
It was mostly Bill that was the talker.
Bill was
right?
the talker.
Yeah.
But Ted, low-key, was the smart one, because he was the one who
He
said,
was, 'cause he
I
spoke-
think we should do
he
this.
spoke French, and he would always ask the right question. He was like that almost idiot savant.
Or was
thing,
it...
where he would like, but
Oh,
if
no,
we do
no, no.
this, won't this happen? And he's like, oh yeah, but even then, like, I guess they kept that dynamic still.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
Bill's
They
the
bring back old jokes. There's definitely a few old jokes in
I
there.
miss the guitar.
Like Missy, how
Missy.
she married
That was
the
fucked up.
younger brother.
That was fucking
I was
crazy.
like-
That was fucked up.
You went from what? Ted's dad
Both dads.
to Ted's dad, then Bill's dad to then Ted's younger brother.
Bill's dad.
Bill's dad, Ted's dad,
and then Ted's brother.
Ted's brother.
Yeah.
And
What
then
happened,
they-
to, what happened to Bill's dad? He wasn't in it? Is he alive?
So how did he explain
I don't
it?
know.
So technically, his brother now became his stepfather,
Yeah.
and
His younger
father
brother-
became the son.
Yeah, and then like Ted is an uncle.
Like-
Ted is his own uncle.
My thing is, it's the future. She can't go on any dating app. She has to stay in this circle of like.
Well, that was the thing. She slept with everybody. That was the thing in the first two. Remember, like
Yeah.
she slept with the teacher from the exam because she's like, oh, I remember him when I was in school.
I kind of miss the whole. I kind of miss like.
Oh, she slept with the black guy, with
Yeah.
the teacher. Wow. Okay.
It's implied
Ugh.
that like she slept with a lot of different people.
I kind of wish they made the joke though, like what they always said, be like, "Oh, hey, Missy. I mean, Mom.
Mom,
I
yeah.
mean, it's like they. could've
Yeah,
done
he
that.
didn't say "shut up, Ted." Like
Yeah.
He
He could have done
Never
like the
said
whole
that.
like, "Oh, hey, Missy.
Oh yeah, where he's
I
like,
mean,
remember
Mom.
when Missy?
I mean,
It's like, shut up, Ted.
shut up, Ted.
they
No.
could have done that whole thing. Being
Well-
like, stepmom. I mean,
Well, I was waiting for it because I was like, again, me and my fiance were rewatching Bogus Journey, and there's a scene where right when they come in, and when the robot Bill is like, oh hey, you know, like future
leader
wife,
'Cause
and
she
I'm
marries the future leader of the rebellion or whatever the people are.
oh, I thought that meant that he married
No.
Bill.
It
I was like,
if you look at the end of Bogus Journey when they're doing the newspaper scrolls, Missy marries the bad guy from Bogus Journey.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, I mean, did you guys like the daughters?
I did not.
they're okay.
They're okay.
I feel like they
Like, they're-
tried to
they're
make them
just-
too much like their dads.
Yeah.
So it was just like looking at like a diet copy of the brother. I felt like if they were like
Different?
different, like personality wise,
Yeah.
like
They're kinda
they obviously
forgettable.
they were a lot smarter
Yeah.
than their parents. They were more musically like knowledgeable than their parents. But I felt like their personalities mirrored the father's way too much. Like I didn't see any of their mother in them at all.
Yeah. Well, the mothers, they were barely even. They were like a
didn't really make
footnote.
difference.
Well, I think one thing that's kind of interesting, at least to me, I mean, say differently if you think it, but I thought the daughter's adventure seemed more interesting than
Right,
Bill and
yeah.
Ted's
Well, that's what
adventure.
they intentionally made, though.
It was supposed to mirror
Yeah.
their original adventure.
They intentionally did that in the film, though,
Yeah.
because they want you to like these daughters more than
But I don't
Bill
know.
and
Yeah.
Ted.
But that's the thing. Like, I don't want it to seem forced, but like,
Oh, you totally.
But you
called
feel
the
it.
movie.
Yeah.
But you totally call the movie in the beginning where
Yeah,
it's just like,
it's
oh,
the daughters
okay.
that make the song, which I feel it's a poor send off for Bill and Ted.
Oh my god, the
Like,
ending was
It's
awful.
a great way to like
Yeah.
introduce new characters and like maybe move on from here into a franchise with the daughters. But I felt it was a bad send off for
franchise?
Bill and
No
Ted.
franchise.
No, I don't see it happening. I don't think the
But that's
girls
what they
were,
really tried to do, though.
I don't think the
Yeah.
girls were memorable enough character wise to like. Really,
That was
like,
one of the worst. Like in the I hate the abrupt. This ending is so abrupt. It just feels like,
yeah.
and that was it.
I thought Michael Bay did it bad, but like, yeah, Bill and Ted takes the record as like
I
the
hate
most
that.
abrupt. They're playing the song, and then it's like, and that's how we save the.
Yeah.
Ending.
Damn.
And you just left with like, fucking really?
Well, it was a good message because it was like, oh, music brings the world together, and it's
I get
like,
it, but it was just so abrupt.
we're just gonna wrap it up.
Music does not bring the world together. Guess what brings the world together?
Money,
Math.
math.
It's the same everywhere.
Okay, well now we're
Well,
just
math
All right,
sucks.
all right. Calm down there, Professor.
Music across lyrics. Lyrics cannot always be understood.
Hey, I beg to differ.
Instrumental.
It was cool to see some historical people. Some
It
we
was.
do
Yeah,
know,
Louis
some we don't
Armstrong,
know.
Mozart.
Maybe he's doing
Jimi
I feel
Hendrix.
like I wish they had gotten Beethoven though.
They used him in the first one.
Bring
I know, but I
Beethoven
feel
back.
like if they bring him back, like, yo, we need you to help with our dad. Like, that was the other thing. I was kind of hoping to see like the original band, like Daft Station, the Bill and Ted Robots,
It
come
would have been.
back.
It really would have been cool if Beethoven came back and he was just like Beethoven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, they got to bring Socrates back.
So yeah, so crazy.
Socrates.
Billy Duckhead,
I still love the
Mr. Duckhead. That's what they used to call him. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Miss Joan of
Beethoven.
Arc.
Joan of Arc was probably one
Yeah.
of my favorites.
You know what? You said who was the one? Was it you who said they weren't memorable? The daughters who
Yeah,
said they
yeah,
weren't.
I said they weren't.
I beg to. There's one character in this movie that is
Who?
Dennis McCoy, the robot.
The robot. What was the one line from the fucking robot that we liked?
Oh no, when he vaporizes everyone, he's just
Yeah.
like, oh no.
Oh no! He was having a nervous breakdown, like right there. It's like, oh, sorry, I'm
Like
sorry.
when the demons are in hell, they're like, oh, that's new. A robot in hell.
Robot
yeah.
in hell. But they even make a reference, like, what's a robot? Why did a robot go to? And they're like, ah, fuck it. And it's just like,
We're not
oh
even gonna
damn.
explain it.
But see, that was like towards the end, like towards like the third act of the movie, where I feel
It
like
picked
it's
up,
like
it got better.
finally like they kind of just like let it go to be just let it be
Zany.
like the goofy like zany kind of movie that the other movies were. And it was like it made sense. I was like, I don't care if this robot like was supposed to be this sentient like badass being. I love the fact that he fucking just vaporized somebody and just like, oh no.
Well, even when he was like, I can't do it, can't vaporize them, and it's just like
Nope.
they
I
jump
killed too many
into.
people now.
I need to
Yeah.
kill myself.
I love how the future kept getting messed up because they weren't doing what they were supposed
Yeah,
to do.
that's true. I like
Yeah.
that.
Because like they were supposed to sit there and write the song, but instead they take the time machine and go, so they never write the song, so the future's still fucked up.
Well, I think it's an interesting concept, and I get how they were trying to. I think they were trying to be dark, like, oh look, Bill and Ted's life went to shit because they wanted to find the easy way out. But I'll say this, I don't think there's anything darker than Bogus Journey, where it's like yourself kills yourself.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just watching it and it's fresh in my mind, I like the concept of hell in Bogus Journey. How it's like you just relive moments in life for eternity.
Yeah.
Like, as opposed to, in this hell, you're what were they,
digger?
mining?
Or
Yeah,
mining,
ditch
yeah.
digger. I'm like, okay.
It
I
was,
don't know.
it was just definitely like I just felt it was too much on the nose of what it was happening. Like clearly, like you start to realize it's like, okay, well, Bill and Ted's Journey doesn't really mean shit.
Yeah.
It's just for like comedic like fill in.
Yeah.
Like really, who we're supposed to be like following and like really like caring about is their daughters, and it's like actually getting like musicians and everything. I was like, I got it. I was like, it's fine. But it's like once you start realizing that, you're like, oh, okay, well then let's just get
Do
it.
it.
Like, also, I mean, why was Kid Cudi just randomly in this?
He was stationed. He was the new station.
I mean, it
And
was
why
just-
is he smart in real life? Like, is that a thing?
I mean, I know he did the.
I don't know.
I know Kid Cudi from the Baby Driver soundtrack. That's where I got first introduced to
I mean,
him.
it's fine that he was in it. It was just a little weird just to be like, and there's Kid Cudi. I was like, all right.
Well, I love how
Okay,
he's
so-
like, these are all men. He's like, I think I'm legendary. He says something like that, like I think I'm legendary now or something.
I think
What did he say?
I think I am now.
I think
Yeah.
I am now. Yeah. I don't know. Just
I feel like there were certain things they should have had in it from the previous ones that, like, I missed the time travel games they play.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, it's cool because when we get out of here, we'll do this, and then like it happens, and they're like, oh, what do we do?
There was
Oh,
more
we'll take the
substance.
keys.
There was more substance when they time traveled in the other two
Yeah.
movies, like purposeful kind of type stuff.
Because remember in the first one, his dad's like, where are my keys? Where are my keys? And he's like, Dad, I don't have your keys. I didn't take them. And then at the end, he's like, oh, I know. I'll go back in time and we'll take Dad's keys.
and then
he
we'll put
pulls-
him in a spot.
And he pulls them out of his pocket like, ah, here they are. And then in theory, he's like, oh shit, I did steal Dad's keys.
I don't know. They just, you know what I feel like the biggest thing with Bill and Ted is with this one? They tried to make some of the things that worked in the original movies that they kind of fit the cheese consistently. Like, I'll say this, even though Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey are clearly the best of the two, I just feel like with, the three, yeah, but I mean, like, I just feel like with the third entry, it's more of we're trying to please the audience with like a passing the torch story. Bucky, you were mentioning like a Force Awakens vibe, and I was like, yeah, like I definitely feel that, but we're also trying to make the fans like, oh, for anybody who like Bogus, here's death again, or they're gonna die randomly, and it's just, I don't know. There's so much going on in this one, and they're trying to please so many people that at the end of the day, it just feels kind of meh.
It's a dry comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You figure how long were we into the movie before we actually first laughed?
It was like a
It
second
was a
act.
good, like,
It was a
40
good
minutes.
hour. I'd
Yeah.
say an hour in.
An hour
That
in
was
before
that
we
was the
laughed
whole
at
thing though. Like that's what
And
I
it was
felt.
the robot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I felt weird about because they would say jokes, but then there were pauses,
Yeah.
being like where it's like obviously this was a joke and you were
Yeah.
supposed to laugh. I was like,
But you did it.
nah.
Well,
okay.
the movies both.
Well, actually, no. Sorry.
No,
first
you're
time
good.
the first time we actually ended up laughing was the gun joke. Being like,
Oh, yeah,
"You
the
don't
click."
have- you don't have to shoot us. It was like
What happens if we don't point it at you? They turn around and ran. Ah, see?
Yeah, like, that was a good
That
joke.
was a good
Yeah, I
joke.
like that one.
it was like you don't have to point a gun at us. Well, what happens when we don't point a gun at you? And he just turns around. See?
You know what? But
That was a good one.
I like that. How it was like, oh yeah, they
But even
ran
that
into
was
somebody's.
like 40 minutes in.
Yeah, that was still like
Yeah.
a pretty long time.
It was late into it. Like I'm not. The beginning of this movie really dragged,
Yeah.
and the first two never took themselves seriously. Like there's a fucking utopia where it's dedicated to Bill and Ted's music, where like instead of like the sign is the guitar, it doesn't take itself seriously, but you believe it for that universe.
Yeah.
So
I felt it would have been better had they been divorced already.
yeah, like I'd like some
Well,
steaks.
Because then you would have felt like, all right, like there's more at stake. Yeah, like you said, more at stake.
Well, they only got divorced because
And technically they
their
never
life,
got
yeah.
divorced.
They never did because their life continued to be like, this is our destiny, we need to follow it. They weren't down for change, and then it led to
And they even
to
said,
despair.
like, every time they tried, they failed.
Yeah. Well,
I
Yeah.
think the Rufus. Also, I think the Rufus shoe in was a little weird.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Rufus.
virtual-
Yeah, like when they're like, oh, you're Rufus's daughter.
I was like, when the fuck did
When,
he have
I was
a
like, do we
daughter?
know her? Is she in the other ones? Like,
And then his wife ended up being one of the great ones.
Yeah.
Like the great, like the
the
great,
great
ones.
leaders.
Yeah, the great leaders or something. I was like, when did this happen?
Yeah.
I was like, of course, I think it was their only excuse just to get the phone booth again.
Right.
To just be like, okay, well, we're gonna use the phone booth, and now
this is a cheap way of doing it. It was literally right there in the middle of the
Yeah.
lane, and it's like, oh, remember this?
Yeah,
Yes.
see, that's
Yes,
the
I
thing.
do.
I don't think it was as like even them being in the phone booth. I don't think it's as memorable
No.
as the other two movies. Like with Bogus Journey, like when they're at the what is it, the 7-Eleven parking lot, and they like he fucking jams the guitar like into like the phone booth so he can like follow him through time.
Oh, yeah, it's
Like
bogus,
that-
yeah.
yeah. I was like,
that's
that's
true,
fun.
true.
I was like, that's really fun, and it was like different. And I was like, and it made sense for like the actual phone booth to be there again, and
Right.
like it was just like different and fun, and like, but this time it was like, yeah, the phone booth is there, and it's, I guess it's nostalgia, but it's like,
I
like,
feel,
it's okay.
I don't know, I feel like for, what, almost 30 year, has it
I
been?
just think
21? 24? Almost 30.
It's just been way too. I think it's just been past its prime.
Yeah,
To actually
like
do another movie and to be good, like legitimately good.
I feel
just
like they
think it's
rushed
too
it.
late. I think maybe a little
Because it
bit.
wasn't. What was it? What was it like? Less than 6 months ago, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna do."
Well, they've been talking about this for a long time.
it's
but-
been years. They just had to find a good story. Was this the story?
and also
Was
a
this
company
the
to pick it
best?
up.
If this
Well,
was the story
Orion
they
was
were
probably
waiting
going to
for.
do it.
Well, they had a problem. They said they had a problem with the actual company picking it.
Oh,
up.
really?
Yeah.
I think it's because MGM was the distributor. I think that's when like Orion came back. Like they were in the.
Didn't they do something else recently?
What movie was that with where?
Like in
We
the last
actually
year.
saw the Orion thing. We're like, oh,
yeah,
man, that's-
Belko Report. I think was it when they're in the
Yeah, I think
Belko
maybe,
Report.
yeah.
Belko Report was the first one. I was like, Orion Pictures, they're back.
I remember
It's
watching
like
the report. What was that about?
Oh, that's not Belko.
The Belko experiment.
Belko Experiment. There we go.
That's
Sorry,
the one where they like start killing each other in the office.
in the office.
right.
It
Yeah,
wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't.
it was solid. I actually prefer that over Bill and Ted 3. I'm just
Yeah, I
saying.
would watch that again. I have it. I actually bought that on DVD.
Did you really?
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
I liked it.
So, all right, nitty gritty. Wait, did you guys have a favorite scene or?
Honestly,
I mean,
that-
anything
Beside-
it has to do with the gun. The gun is probably my favorite scene.
That was a good scene.
Angel, the
Yeah.
gun was a favorite scene.
But I still like Dennis
is funny
Vaporize.
as hell, too.
Yeah, I still like Dennis vaporizing everybody, just being like, "Oh no."
I mean, I even like the scene with the two demons in hell. Like, hey, is that a robot in
Is that
hell?
a robot?
That's
Yeah,
weird.
robot in hell. Yeah.
I was like, I don't know, man, that's weird. Or he's just like, "Oh yeah, they're a nice group of kids. They went that way."
Yeah, nice group. That way.
You know, I will say this. I was actually thinking about it. Maybe. Yeah, actually refreshing it, because it was just a couple days ago. I think this is the first time that a historical figure looked at something and was like, oh shit, because when Louis Armstrong is looking at the phone, he doesn't even care about Jimi Hendrix. He's like, look at this shit. Like, I'm just like, that's kind of
I
cool.
will say that guy who played Louis Armstrong, I feel like overacted a little bit.
Right? I felt like
I
his
feel a
facial
little bit.
expressions were a little off.
I mean, that is Louis
Maybe I don't know
Armstrong.
enough about Louis Armstrong.
No, that
to
is
make
Louis
judgment.
Armstrong to a T.
Is
But
it?
it was just like he was just. It just looked weird
Oh.
a little bit. But I love the fact though with the artists that they ended up going to, except for the two that like obviously are like more like historical artists.
Right.
Like you almost knew immediately who they were.
I like the riff battle between Mozart and Hendrix.
Yeah.
That
Well,
was
see,
fun.
that was a good scene.
I think that was honestly, yeah.
But I like the fact that you could immediately tell, like, when Jimi Hendrix showed up, you're like, okay, Jimi Hendrix. And even when, like, the trumpeter, like, when you're, like, New Orleans
You
in
were thinking, you
1920s,
were like, all right, who
it
is
was like New Orleans in the 1920s, and you hear a trumpet, and I was like, okay, then that's Louis Armstrong for sure. And that's when he says, and that's when he's playing when the Saints go marching in.
Right.
And then the only one I didn't get was, like, right off the bat, I was like, so it's either Beethoven or Mozart. But I'm
Alright.
pretty sure he's playing a Vivaldi piece.
I didn't think they were going to do Beethoven solely because they did him already, and the next greatest person is probably going to be Mozart.
And that's the other thing too. Like you only hear it for a split second, but like one of the daughters actually gives like him a nickname, like right off the bat. She's
Oh,
like,
really?
"Oh, what's up, Wolfie?" And it's like it makes sense because his name is Wolfgang Amadeus
Right.
Mozart.
And that was
So-
like Ted's thing. Was
Yeah,
that
yeah.
he
It was
gave
like
them,
he would give a
nicknames.
nickname, so it was like, oh man, like that was the only time you actually heard him being like, oh, you heard like somebody be like, "Oh, what's up, Wolfie?" And I was like, oh, it makes sense. I was like, oh, that's cool. But I don't know. I still feel like Kid Cudi was kind of out of place. It's like I get it. I get why you're doing it.
Yo,
but
so-
I'm just like,
I wish we knew who the caveman guy was. Because I have
well,
no
this,
idea. who
that's
that
why
is.
Just
those are like
random.
it's supposed to be like an historical, like
Right, yeah.
kind of like music, like provision, being like, when did drums first start? Like when did like flute just first start? Like to get into like that's why Mozart was like when he sees her for the first time, he's like, oh, it's like I know who you
Right.
are, like. So
Wow.
it's okay. It's okay.
So because he was the star of the movie, how many Cuddies out of 4? How many Cuddies are you giving it?
Man, I don't know.
I think I'm giving it a 1.5.
1.5 Cuddies.
I mean,
1.5
I
cutters.
try.
Chubbies, yo. This robot's giving me a chubby. Two Cuddies.
I don't know.
I didn't like the music.
I'm with you too.
I
I'm
like
with
the
2.
song that unites everyone. It
I'm
fell, it fell
stuck. Yeah,
short.
I'm stuck between a 1.5 and a 2. Only because the fact is, I would never rewatch this again. I don't think I would.
2?
I give it like a 1.
damn, one Cuddy.
Yeah, it's really between a 1.5 to a 2 for me because I don't think I would ever end up watching this again.
3, 5,
2.
2.
No, it's gonna average
So
being.
that's 6. And what about you?
I gave it a 2, so it's like
It's a 2.
That's 8 divided by 5. Yeah, 1 point something.
So it's
1.5.
close to a 2.
You're supposed to be the unanimous one who believes math can unite the world.
Can unite the world.
What the heck?
It's definitely like if you're a fan of Bill and Ted, it's something to watch to finally kind
I
of.
don't
like,
feel it hits all the cues though for a fan.
But for fans though, it's good to watch to close kind of the book
Right.
on this to finally be like, oh, they've been talking about doing a third movie to kind of wrap it all up to just kind of like get it done and over with.
I don't feel like this was the best they could have
No,
done.
of course, but it's like us as fans wouldn't put this anywhere near to like when we're talking about Bill and Ted, it will never come up.
This is
To
the
be
Batman
like-
Begins
Yeah,
of this
yeah.
trilogy.
Okay, chill.
It will never come up to be like, oh, do you mean like, oh, 3 was a good movie? Like, no, 3 will never come up ever.
It'll be the first 2.
It will always be the first 2.
It's
Bill
like
and
when
Ted
you're in
films.
stores and it's like, oh, you get it's the Bill and Ted, trilogy. It's like, oh, it comes with Bill and Ted, Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey. Oh, awesome. And we're throwing in music for free. Hey.
The Face Music will be a free download within
Free
will
download.
be in the next 5 years. I can tell you that right now.
It's like that scene from Family Guy where Peter finds the one DVD. He's like, oh, awesome. And then it's like the other DVD. It's like, I don't want that near it. If that thing even... Dan in real life, he's like, if that thing even touches my DVD. Like, I'm just like, yeah.
It happens multiple times when you buy a box set and you're like, I'm only really buying it for these. And
Yep.
the other ones can just
It's sitting
stay
there.
over there.
So, I guess that concludes, Art, finally.
Our first podcast.
First,
in how
yeah.
long? Did you post the
Which-
classic conversation?
I don't think
No,
so.
he didn't do it.
I didn't.
All right, get on that.
I know.
Look forward to
So
what
what?
makes
The next
a
one
classic.
will either be Mulan
I-
or.
Well, Mulan's not until
Mulan's till
December.
Okay.
No,
What about
I'm buying it.
What about Tenet?
I'm gonna get it.
But I thought Disney announced that they're doing straight
Next week
free
is.
and-
All right, so yeah, Mulan. All right, so if Jared isn't cheap,
I'm not cheap. I'm gonna buy it. I'm just saying that.
your husband can be
It's
cheap.
whatever Voodoo releases.
But I mean, if anybody wants to, I'm seeing New Mutants on Monday.
I'm
Where
not
at?
going to the theater.
No,
Oh, I
that's fair.
close.
I'm not going.
Yeah,
I can't bring myself to go to the theater.
that's fair. So I guess I'll.
Is New
maybe-
Mutants on digital?
No.
Yeah.
No, it's just straight.
It's got to run 17 days before it can hit digital.
Yep.
No.
I can wait another 17 days.
Trust me, I can too.
Yeah.
I
I'll
just
end up
was.
watching it. I'll definitely end up
That
watching
one
it.
and
but-
did you see the trailer for Peninsula?
No.
Yeah.
The train.
fuck is Peninsula?
You ever see Train to Busan?
Yeah.
No.
It's the sequel.
Whatever.
Train to
fucking-
Busan. Busan's actually not bad. It's
Oh,
sad. It's
you
sad.
remember the serial killer babysitter movie?
Serial killer.
Oh, you're talking
We
about
watched it on
Babysitter?
Netflix?
The Babysitter. It's
Babysitter
getting a
too.
sequel.
It's getting a
I
sequel,
saw
yeah.
Oh
that.
shit! Really?
Yeah,
that was actually good.
on September 10th.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I want to watch that.
That was a hidden gem.
That was a really nice movie. Yeah. What was it called though?
Babysitter.
Yeah, I think it was called The
Yeah,
Babysitter.
The Babysitter's getting a sequel, and it's
It's a Netflix movie.
the
but
original
it was
cast
saw
actually
comes
good.
back.
Yeah, I saw the
Have you
trailer
checked
for that.
out 1BR yet?
No, I keep seeing it.
I watched it. It's actually pretty good.
What
It's
is
actually pretty
1BR?
good.
The
I'll have to watch
ending
it
is a
tonight.
very nice twist.
Okay, I'll have to watch it today.
All right, so we got a
Netflix
lineup.
comes
All
out-
right.
Netflix comes out with some hidden gems sometimes, and The Babysitter was one of them.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was
For
straight up
like
really
an
funny.
horror, I guess slasher.
It was a trope. It was a
Slasher?
horror trope
Okay.
because they played on instances of horror movies that are like
Right.
tropes.
My
Like-
favorite scene of that movie is when the jock's about to kill him,
You
and
chase
then
him with shirt.
and then the dude's like, his bully comes up and he's like, "You're just gonna let him egg your house?" And it's like, "You're about to kill me." He's like, "Yeah, but at least you could die like a man." And he's like, you go up to him and you kick him in the balls, and he's like, "All right."
There's
And
one
he's,
point where he just takes off his shirt for
yeah,
no fucking
he's like,
reason.
"Why is your shirt off?" And it's like, wait. We're all around you, and that's what you think about?
I might check
I
it
recommend. Yeah, check it out.
It's good.
It's a fun little
It's fun.
gem.
Yeah, it's a fun movie.
I've watched it twice, and I usually don't even like those types of movies, but it's a good movie.
yeah,
I might I'll refresh it.
you should do it.
So, until next time, this is Jared.
Angel.
Bucky. Okay.
I don't know, Curtis.
Yeah, so stay posted. Now we have content, so that's good. And Wakanda forever.